Mama Oni's Restaurant. A story by Ibi's Heart. Mama Oni owned one of the busiest restaurants in their city. She had about 50 staff working for her at all times. She sold all kinds of native delicacies, and people from all walks of life patronized her. Whenever any of her customers got there, they would stand in line and wait patiently. They all ate her food with so much joy, licking their fingers and laughing heartily. Her major customers were men, married men. Some of the men even went as far as staying in her restaurant until midnight or very late at night before leaving. Any man that had a misunderstanding with his wife will come to Mama Oni's restaurant, eat and tell her all about it. And she would give them mean and deadly advices on how to deal with their wives. Every week, a new staff joins her battalion of staff. The day Dare walked into her restaurant, she quickly sent her best staff to serve him. This was the first time Dare visited the most popular restaurant in town. Mama Oni wondered why she was just seeing him for the first time. "Oh, he is so handsome and looks rich," she thought to herself while admiring Dare. Dare ate his meal with so much joy and wondered how a meal could brighten his dampened mood. "Now I know why they recommended this place to me," he thought, smiling. "Did you enjoy your meal?" Mama Oni's voice startled him, and he smiled and nodded his head like a little boy. Within some minutes, Dare was pouring his heart out to her, telling her how his wife doesn't respect him and how his in-laws were interfering in his marriage, and how she nags a lot. Mama Oni, as usual, gave him a deadly advice. "If you want to be free, just take this few grain of rice and do as I will tell you," Mama Oni said, and pat Dare on the head. When Dare got home that day, Vera, his wife, was already at the door nagging, "Look at when a responsible married man is coming home. You should be ashamed of yourself." She nagged and nagged for almost an hour. Dare, unlike himself, didn't utter a word. He quietly walked into their bedroom, raised his wife's pillow and dropped the few grain of rice Mama Oni gave to him. His wife, who felt ignored, stood on his way, but he still didn't flinch. "You are ignoring me?" she asked and started crying. They have been married for 4 years and were unable to bear a child. Dare and his family have been threatening Vera with another wife. But Vera was mad because Dare has refused to tell his family that he was the problem since the doctors told them. And Vera will not have it. "Have you told your family yet?" Vera always nagged. Vera wanted Dare to tell everyone he was the cause of their childlessness, and she felt pained that Dare has refused to clear her name. But Dare even despised her more for knowing his weakness. So he was busy telling anyone who cared to listen his marital woes, until he told Mama Oni. "What would the grain of rice do when I put it under her pillow?" he had asked Mama Oni. She simply smiled and replied, "It will solve everything," and shut her nagging mouth up. When Vera was done nagging, she laid on her pillow and cried herself to sleep. However, later that night, the few grain of rice started growing and their stem grew so long. Vera, who started sleeping alone since the diagnosis, opened her eyes and saw long grasses on her face. She tried to scream, but the grasses filled her mouth and suffocated her to death. The next morning, Dare wanted to leave for work. He entered their bedroom to take a fresh t-shirt and screamed. He saw his wife covered in grass, dead. He didn't know when he ran outside, still dressed in his nightwears, straight to Mama Oni. "What have you done to my wife? She is dead. What did you do?" He was ranting and asking questions and was wondering why all her staff were behaving like they were not hearing him. Even his customers were also looking like they were not seeing him. It seemed like the only person seeing him was Mama Oni. "I will call the police," he said, and turned to leave. But what he saw when he turned made his heart sink. He saw Vera, his dead wife, serving food to a customer, smiling. He shouted, "Vera! Vera!" He shouted again. He rushed to touch his wife but was blocked by Mama Oni. "She doesn't belong to you anymore. Go and bury her corpse before it starts decaying," Mama Oni said, and laughed so weirdly. "When police handles you, you will know who you are toying with," Dare shouted and stormed out of the restaurant. He drove straight to the police station, and being a bank manager, he knew the divisional police officer, Po. Two police officers quickly joined him and they drove straight to Mama Oni's restaurant. But when they got there, Mama Oni came out, smiled and greeted them. They forgot what they came there for and started explaining and telling her their own marital woes too. Dare talked and talked, but found out he was wasting his time. He quickly ran to his car and called the DPO, who was his friend, to complain. The phone was still ringing when a hand tapped his shoulder. "Cut the call," the man that tapped Dare said gently. "You cannot win, I tried fighting her, my wife is one of her staff too," the stranger said and pointed at a young beautiful lady serving food and smiling. "I lost her to Mama Oni 10 years ago. I was young and foolish, so I felt it was my right to treat my wife like trash. My life took a devastating turn the day I started eating Mama Oni's food. She made me feel so good and gave me a listening ear. After some time, she gave me a few grains of rice and told me to pour it into my wife's food. I did without thinking. The following day, I found my wife dead with grass growing from her mouth. I ran to Mama Oni in fear to find a remedy and know why she did that to my wife, only for me to find my wife standing in her restaurant, serving food. I was confused. My wife was at home, how did she get here before me? I had thought. That was when it dawned on me that I was dealing with something extraordinary. Out of anger, I called the police, and got no result. I went to a higher level to report, and when the police got to her, she manipulated them and I was arrested. My wife's body was buried with the grass in her mouth, and everyone insisted I should confess. I was sentenced to 30 years in prison, but came out 2 months ago due to terminal illness. I have not seen my kids since then, and they were meant to believe I killed their mother." The sick-looking stranger continued talking and crying. "This is strange, but are you saying we should give up? What will I tell my in-laws happened to their daughter? I am finished," Dare said with his hands on his head, crying. "This is not the time to start crying, go now and look for solution. I met a man in the prison who told me if I had acted within 24 hours, my wife would have been saved. So try and save your family. I have been coming here to watch my wife every day with regret. All the women here are people's dead wives and their husbands are either dead or in prison. I also believe their relatives can't recognize them, because I sent my friend then to come here and see my wife for himself, but he came and saw nothing," the man said and shook his head. Dare tried to approach his wife, but she was just behaving like a programmed robot, smiling and walking about. That was when he also realized that the women serving food there doesn't talk. Why did I not pay close attention the first day I got here? What kind of place it this? Dare stood at a place talking to himself. Then his phone rang, and it was his neighbor. His wife's parents were banging at their door at home. They got a call from their daughter Vera that Dare was trying to kill her. Dare almost passed out. He wondered who called them and started crying again. He cut the call and called the staff in his bank that introduced him to Mama Oni's restaurant. His name was Sam. Sam, who ate there all the time, was shocked to hear that. "I have been eating there since I was transferred to this branch 8 months ago, but now I know why Mr. Ease, who introduced me to this restaurant, suddenly died after he was accused of killing his wife. That was when they observed that all the married men in their branch have either lost their wives or gone to prison for killing their wives. I think you are still alive because you are not married and have no serious relationship," Dare said, frowning. Dare then pleaded with Sam to help him. "Come and escort me to the restaurant to distract Mama Oni while I talk to Vera, my wife," Dare said, sounding hopeful. When they got there, Sam sat down smiling at Mama Oni, but she did not smile back at him. She simply got up from her seat and stood up. And for the first time, Sam saw something very strange. She stood up, and when she turned back, Sam saw the scariest thing he had ever seen. Mama Oni has a face in both front and back, and her entire back is like a little farm covered in green grass. So her face was also showing with her buttocks, which was slightly covered with green grass. This was where she gets the grain of rice that she has been giving to all those men. He started sweating and wanted to stand up, but Mama Oni, who was suddenly beside him, whispered in his ear saying, How dare you want to join issues with me? How dare you? Do you know who I am? Sam peed on himself. He stood up and tried to run away, but felt something moving inside his trouser. He touched it and it was a long stem growing inside his trouser. He screamed and ran towards the road. The other customers in the restaurant who were looking at him were not seeing anything. Meanwhile, Dare had followed Vera, his wife, to the back of the restaurant. Vera, I am really sorry for treating you bad, but please we have to go. He talked and talked, but discovered that Vera or the other women were not even seeing him. So he tried to drag Vera out, but she was just air, thin air. Dare became really scared. But something that has never happened before happened. Vera said something. While looking away, she said, "There is no much time for me. Save me. Try and save me, Dare." Mama Oni, who was watching them from afar, quickly pulled a grass from her back and Vera shouted as if she was in pain. Mama Oni poured Dare something that looking like hot soup, but it was not a hot soup, but something else. The thing she poured on him burnt his cloth and peeled his skin. He ran outside and that was when he saw Sam, sitting on the ground, crying and people were watching and videoing him. He took Sam into his car and drove away. He didn't want to go home because of his in-laws, but he had to go home so that he can change his torn cloth. He would have gone to the hospital, but he noticed that he was the only one seeing the injury on his body. When he got home, he met his parents-in-law watching television. He was shocked, so he ran inside the room to check if his wife had disappeared, but saw her there, still covered in grass dead. He was still wondering who called Vera's parents to come, because it was obviously not Vera. Then he heard Vera's parents calling him and asking about their daughter. That was when Dare realized they were not seeing Vera. He cried even more because he was tired. He had wanted to tell them what was going on. But how will they believe him if they cannot even see Vera? He thought and started crying again. He then remembered he left Sam, who was suddenly quiet when he was driving home in the car. He ran outside and brought him out. Sam was just moping and was looking lost like all the women at Mama Oni's restaurant. He took him inside and introduced him as colleagues to his in-laws. After thinking of what to do since time was running out for his wife, he dressed up and decided to take his in-laws to Mama Oni's restaurant to eat since they were hungry. He wanted to know if they can see Vera when they get to Mama Oni's. "But where did you say Vera went to since morning and her number is not going through?" Vera's father asked again, "and why would she call us in panic that way? I wonder why she would call you and say that because she went to the market. She said she wanted to make her hair, so she might come home late." Dare answered them, faking a smile. When they got to the restaurant, Vera came out to serve their meal, but only Dare could recognize her. Her parents saw a different face. Dare became mad. So he started shouting and creating a scene. Other men who were there eating felt he was constituting nuisance. But with all the noise he made, and his parents-in-law holding him and trying to know what happened, he noticed that Mama Oni refused to come out. This was unlike her, Dare thought. So he started telling the customers there to run for their lives and even telling them they were eating poison. Some got up and left, some were videoing him, while the rest sat down defending her. When Mama Oni saw some men leaving, she angrily came out and rushed Dare. "Leave here and never return." Immediately she said that, she heard Mama Emeka and froze. Mama Emeka, the mad woman? Mama Vera screamed and started crying. "Dare, how did you find this place? How can anyone eat from this woman?" Mama Vera continued shouting. It turned out Mama Oni was a popular food seller in Mama Vera's village who died some years ago. She suddenly ran mad after she was falsely accused of cheating on her husband and was sent out of the home she built with her husband. Mama Oni quickly ran inside, brought a bag and changed into her real self for all to see, then disappeared. They saw a woman with two faces carrying a bush on her back. Immediately she disappeared. Everyone eating at her restaurant started coughing and crying. Stem and grasses started growing on their body. They were all crying, and this time around, everyone could see it. All the women serving food for Mama Oni disappeared, including Vera. Dare was shouting, calling Vera's name crying. Vera's mother asked Dare to calm down and explain what happened to them. Dare kept shouting that it will soon be 24 hours and he will never see Vera again. When Vera's mother heard all that happened from Dare, she told him to start the car. We are going to meet Mama Emeka's people. When they got to Mama Oni's compound, it was already dark. But the first thing they saw was a huge altar covered in grass. Dare looked at the altar and recognized the grass around it to be exactly like the one on his wife. He was still looking when an elderly man came out to ask who they were. Mama Vera called the man by his name and introduced herself. I was your wife's neighbor in the market when she ran mad. The man got angry and asked them to leave, that he does not like hearing the name of that evil woman in his house. He called his grandchildren living with him to come and throw them out. But Mama Vera knelt down on the ground crying. I won't be here by this time of the day all the way from Bemi City for nothing. Something serious is happening and it involves your wife, Mama Vera said crying. My wife died almost 20 years ago, why would something that is happening now concern her? The elderly man said angrily. I saw Mama Emeka today, selling food in Bemi City. I wouldn't believe it if somebody else should tell me too, but it is true. She vanished before my eyes. Everyone saw it. She has been selling food there for years now. Killing and destroying lives. My daughter's life is hanging in the balance now if you do not help us, Mama Vera said crying while Dare and Papa Vera also joined in shedding tears. The elderly man was moved. So he agreed to listen to them. He pointed at the bushy shrine saying, My wife did not run mad and die because she cheated on me, but she ran mad because she started worshipping whatever that is in that altar. She came home one day and told me her encounter with a man who gave some grain of rice to plant within the compound for protection. I told her no, that I do not support that kind of practice, but she insisted and said she has been having bad dreams and may lose one of us as she had seen in her dream, if she doesn't plant the rice. It was during that period that I traveled to Ghana for business. I came back when I heard that she suddenly started saying that her body was covered with grass which no one was seeing and ran mad. People came up with the rumor of her cheating and we didn't try to defend her, because we felt people might run away from us if they learned she was worshipping something that made her mad. I hated her for doing that to us. Leaving my children motherless. My children left the altar she had prepared the way it was to remember her by it. And we are also scared that removing the altar might make us see strange things like she did. So we left it. Your wife may have been operating through that altar. She has the same grass like the one on the altar on her back. I saw it with my eyes, Dare shouted. She also did something to my wife, Dare said, and angrily ran towards the altar and started breaking the altar and uprooting the grass. The man and his grandchildren refused to get involved. They were somehow relieved that the altar was gone. Immediately Dare finished clearing the grass, his phone rang and it was Sam. Hello sir, I am here with your wife, she is fine now, Sam said happily over the phone. Vera's parents were so happy. So they thanked the man and left. But as they were leaving, Mama Oni was standing on that altar angrily looking at them. She has become powerless and crying that she cannot protect her family again. She felt she was protecting her family all these years. Dare got home and called his parent and told them he was the reason they were still childless. He also told his in-laws. Vera was happy he had finally listened to her. Dare promised to be a better man to Vera from that day. But 1 week later, Vera was applying lotion on her body after bathing when Dare saw small grass growing on her back. He was so scared, but noticed that Vera was not seeing it. He was the only one who could see it, so he decided to keep quiet about it and just observe. Telling everyone your marital problems doesn't make it any better or solve it. Instead, look inwards to know why he or she nags all the time and take corrections. Lastly, do you know what you eat when you eat outside your house? Especially when you eat in public places?
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.